Hello, host Eric here for Open Topic Random Chat. It's the exciting new variety show version of Talking to Famous People. Open Topic Random Chat. Go around, everybody say something, whatever they want to say. Let's start with, I'll go first to make it easy. What I want to say is, it's okay to sing Christmas songs any time of year.
But it's not as significant.
Well, actually, some people's lives it is. You know how many fights Delilah and I have gotten about this? She thinks it's okay to tell me that I cannot sing Christmas songs except during the Christmas season. And she'll freak out if I sing one. If I walk in the house tomorrow morning going, "It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas," she will yell at me.
Was it snowing? Because you could justify it then. Because it was looking like it.
I don't think she'd buy that. She thinks it's somehow.
Does it snow in California? Does it snow in California?
Yeah, but not
so it never looks like Christmas. So you can't never sing that song.
not in our part of California. It does in lots of parts of California.
Maybe he saw 5 diamond rings or something from the 12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah, that works.
Actually, it was a partridge. It's that damn partridge. It's always out in my pear tree. I take my shotgun
It's hard to
out
keep them
every
out. I
morning.
mean, you can try pesticides and everything, but you end up just like hurting your pear tree. They just keep returning. It's really a frustrating thing, you know.
I know. I'm like, listen, partridge, you need to get the fuck out of my pear tree. Every day I come out here, you're back again.
They have no respect for private property whatsoever. No respect.
You know what no one ever talks about with that song? It's 12 Days of Christmas, My True Love Gave to Me. I was just hanging out with a female friend of mine who, it was her birthday, I think, 2 weeks ago, but a friend of hers took her out to, like, Alexander's for, like, a steak yesterday. And we're like, is it your birthday every damn day? And she's like, of course it is, right? And who is this girl that's getting 12 gifts, or 12 sets of gifts, actually, on 12 days leading up to Christmas? Like, I'm a December baby. My birthday and Christmas get combined, right? Like, it does not get magnified or amplified or whatever. And this girl gets 12 sets of stuff.
Well,
it's definitely unjust.
She's a maid of milking. That's one of the things she gives away too. She owns slaves. She owns maids of milking, and she's giving.
I thought you were going with it. She sells her own milk, some sort of like breast milk.
Yeah.
No, wet nurse. She sells wet nurses on the black market.
No, there's actually a website you can milk breast milk.
You can milk breast milk?
Oh wait, no, it's not breast milk. It's gargled milk. You can choose your model to gargle the milk, and you can buy it.
Human breast milk?
Oh, it's not breast milk. It's just regular milk, but it's gargled milk.
So they just gargle it in the mouth and then send it to you.
Yeah, you choose a female model to gargle the milk.
That's so unsanitary. That is the most unsanitary, disgusting thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Well, I mean, the jug I bought was pretty damn good, so...
Do I have to pay extra for chocolate milk? I want to know.
I guess.
It depends how it becomes chocolate milk. You know what, some things are out there.
Oh, it's even better. It's called white power milk.
Alright.
Is it run by the KKK?
Many are drawn to white power milk for the comforting certainty that our milk is the purest available. But it's something more elusive and difficult to put into words that keeps our customers coming back. It's culturally superior.
What if we can make money off of this? Why didn't we think of it?
Let's check out the girls. Who do you prefer? Who do we prefer to gargle our milk?
That's so disgusting. I can't even hear about it.
You gotta select your own model and everything to gargle your milk.
Milk
gargling video.
You know, I knew I put that on my resume for some reason.
You may consider it gargling, Eric, but us here at White Power Milk consider it a cultural purification process.
Cultural
enhances
purification process. Which culture?
Like those birds that, like, eat worms and spit it out into the mouths of their young.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not many models here, Lorenz. I was kind of disappointed as well.
First world problems.
Mm.
I mean, you'd think they would let us see their dental hygiene too, instead of just a picture of them. I feel like that's a pretty significant factor
You probably
in this
don't want
process.
to know.
Wait, what is that?
You probably don't want to know.
Yeah, yeah.
Look a gift gargler in the mouth, Zachary.
You think you've
Yeah,
seen
probably
everything,
wouldn't know.
and there's always something you haven't thought of.
It's a crazy world out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you believe there are people out there who would rather not have their milk purified? That's fucking insane to me.
If they can
That's just
sell
fucking
that,
disgusting.
then quadtravel.com can sell licenses for shit, right?
Hmm.
You know, I noticed Chad inspired me. I want to start making and selling licenses to practice MBTI. I can license myself first. I'm a licensed MBTI practitioner now. It doesn't stand for Myers-Briggs, but I'm an equivalent. Or I could be a licensed socionics practitioner. And if people will buy fucking gargled milk, they totally buy a license to do something they can already do.
Hmm.
You can buy, so half an ounce is 10 seconds gargled, 2 ounces it's 15 seconds gargled. It's $125 for, I guess, half an ounce.
That much?
Yeah, I know. I can't believe how cheap it is.
What type of milk is it? Fat free? Is it 2%?
Maybe you get to choose.
I don't know, actually. It doesn't say.
It's a fair price. There's a lot of overhead in that business, okay? You got to get that.
Oh, it's outside New York City is $250. You can even request a video of the model gargling the milk.
I clicked on gargling video. I wish I didn't.
Wait, really? I'm gonna see it here.
Oh, guys, you're freaking making me...
This is the picture.
You know, it's really funny. My friend I was hanging out with, she has a roommate that webcams. And another friend of mine asked her, "Have you ever seen so-and-so webcam before?" And she's like, "No, I'm afraid to click on those videos." And now I know why. You could see someone gargling milk.
Wait, she's a cam actress?
Yeah, she's a cam actress.
I wonder how, like, successful girls can be like that through that kind of, I suppose, business. I mean, it's from my understanding that some of those sites are actually, you can make some pretty decent money if you're a hot chick.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty easy money, and I would say I have a few friends that are like import models in the Bay Area, and so they have friends that are comfortable with much more. And it's not just the amount that you get paid; it's also the connections you make. And so, oh, you want to take a trip to Italy? Well, there's one crazy guy out there who buys all your gargle videos that maybe might send you out to Italy.
Yeah. I still wonder, though, if this is a real thing. It seems kind of like a parody, honestly.
If people are willing to send like $60,000+ to a guy to make fucking potato salad, then I'm pretty sure people are out there willing to pay money to watch milk get gargled.
Well,
Yeah,
no one's bought anything from quadtravel.com yet. But I think it may be because of my instructions that I'll only accept snail-mailed coins as payment.
I thought about actually paying with coins the other day. I signed up for cell service with T-Mobile, and I'm paying them God knows how much for unlimited data and all that. And once you get to about 25 gigs spent, they start throttling your speed, and it's not even like a little bit. It's sometimes it's unbearable. And so I thought to myself, damn, this sucks. Like, how do I get back at these guys? And I'm this close to showing up at T-Mobile with my entire month's payment in pennies. And then when they look at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, you gave me unlimited data, but you throttled me, so I'm going to throttle your payment until things even out, and see if that doesn't change my service.
I got two words for you, T-Mobile. Legal tender.
I looked up the laws on that, and I think the search results that I got said that people actually misconstrue it. Like, yes, there's legal tender, but businesses actually can deny what they can and can't accept for payment. It's stupid.
Well,
I'm still going to try it anyway.
what's ridiculous is the IRS. You can't pay them in pennies.
Yeah, fuck them.
You can't pay them in coins at all because people would always want to do that.
Yeah.
So they banned it.
Wait, is that true? You can't pay them in coins whatsoever?
Correct. Because of that. Because people did that. Because they all felt as though they were doing the right thing by paying their taxes. You can tell when something's right and just. People behave as though it is. Anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about here in the random chatting subtopic thread?
I was working with my kid today on extemp, and we were talking about all the shootings and stuff. And I'm still baffled that the Dallas police got to send a fucking robot to kill a guy. Like, you know, they couldn't have smoked him out, they couldn't have starved him out. And like, you know, what happened to due process? Like, where was he holed up? He was like in a parking garage or something?
He was on top of a parking garage, I believe.
Yeah, like the only reason I could imagine that they had to kill the guy in the moment is because he's in an elevated position and he has a sniper rifle on him, right?
Yeah.
So that right there, you know, he could potentially, you know, run away from police fire, maybe get 2 or 3 shots in, so he is a potential threat there. But I don't know. I mean, like they had the guy pinned down dead to rights, right? Like there has to be 50 cops with the guy in their scope and very little chance of him moving. Like we don't have any like laughing gas we can throw at this guy or something.
Send him a nitrous tank with a cracker and balloons. Send him a box of whippets with a cracker and balloon. They're like, here, do whippets until you're tired of shooting people.
Right.
What's the so what exactly? I know that they killed him with some sort of like robot with a bomb.
Yeah, they said a robot with C4, and the C4 detonated, and bye bye birdie.
Was it like a airborne thing, or was it?
I think it was like it was like on wheels or something. The robot just goes over there and payload.
Like some
could have
Call of
been
Duty Black Ops
could have been
shit.
far more efficient. They could have killed 2 criminals with 1 stone if they just hired an ISIS guy with a bomb strapped to him, send him running in, he blows up, kills
Everyone wins.
himself. Yeah.
Well, what you're describing is the thing I'm looking forward to the most is the movie Suicide Squad coming out in August.
Right. Yeah.
Well, to take the issue more directly, it's an interesting point. I mean, the thing is, I think it was more clear cut that they murdered when we're talking about Christopher Dorner. They murdered the shit out of Christopher Dorner. They had no reason to kill him. He wasn't.
Who's Dorner?
He was the ex-cop who killed some cops, and then he's the one where he was a former LAPD officer, and then he went rogue and tried to expose LAPD for all their corruption and stuff, and was, I don't know, like shit happened. I mean, he sounds crazy in his writings and stuff. He didn't do a great job. He didn't do a terrible job either. He doesn't sound completely crazy. And anyway, they had him pinned in a cabin in the woods, and they wanted him dead, no doubt about it, because he's a former cop. They just fucking burned the cabin to the ground with him inside of it.
Damn. Well, now robots are doing it, and the robots have taken another human job.
Mm-hmm.
Bomb carrier, suicide bomber. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, that's one of those things where I don't particularly. That's not a battle I'd want to fight the cops over, the one in Dallas, because to me, they've got enough claim. It's too hard to win that argument. You got to be a serious particular ethical parser to take them down. An active shooter, You know, in a
Yeah.
perfect world, I agree with you, but it seems a tougher one to fight. The thing I hated about that whole situation is what made me cry in the car when I heard the story, and I said to myself the words, God damn it, that costs you the moral high ground. You know, it's like, that's the problem with it, right? Is that when, first of all, I mean, the biggest problem is he's murdering people who didn't do anything. Those cops are not the cops who did
Exactly.
the crime, so they're shooting the wrong fucking cops, right? If you're
Where's the
gonna
Minnesota
shoot
guy to kill the
somebody,
Minnesota cops?
they shouldn't be shooting anybody. But if you're gonna shoot somebody is because they're of that shit, then shoot the ones who actually did that shit. Find that cop
Yeah.
who did that. You know, otherwise you're just murdering random people. And worst of all, instead of how it should be, which is every time a cop gets pulled over, they're worried that yet another citizen is going to start yelling on about some other cop police murder now that it's all in the news. Cops understand they've got a different world they're facing when they pull somebody over. That individual thinks about that experience very differently than they did 5 years ago. Very, very differently. Every person of any race. And the cops are a lot more cautious about pulling people over now.
Yeah. Did you guys hear about the bill that got signed by the governor of Texas because of the shootings? The body
Yeah,
cam bill?
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I'm not familiar with it. What's the bill?
So basically, police body cam and dashboard footage are no longer public record. You can access it if you appear in the video physically, or if your audio is on the video. But how the fuck are you going to know that if they're not public record in the first place? Like, if I got pulled over in an incident, I could go down and say, "Hey, I got pulled over. I'm in the video." And then what's to stop some, Joe Schmo cop behind the desk saying, "No, no, you're not in this one."
It won't survive
Right?
constitutional
And what am I to
challenge.
do?
It won't
Yeah,
survive
you have to challenge
constitutional
it.
challenge.
For it. Yeah.
There's no way
Ridiculous.
because I mean there's no justification for keeping that stuff private, given that it is a record of the public business. We have a freedom of speech right to film them doing that thing. Then why should we, the public, also not have a freedom of speech right to access
I mean,
what is ours? Our stuff, right? It's public record because it's the public's business. If I have the right to film you because you're a public servant, then shouldn't I have the right to demand the public servants, when they film themselves, to let me see that?
well, if you want to hear the dumb excuse that one of the policemen gave in the article I read, he said, like, what if the cops are responding to a domestic dispute and the wife becomes unclothed? We don't want that stuff on YouTube. Like, that was the lamest.
Are you
Oh
kidding
my
me?
god.
It's a pretty shitty argument.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I think the response to that sort of argument is so simple. You just say, I agree that's terrible. Unfortunately, you guys are always murdering people. See, so we kind of got to keep an eye on you. It's that murdering habit you got. It's a problem.
It's not even that. It's the fact that the police are funded by government taxpayer, so it's our right to know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's our film. Who else does it belong to? It doesn't belong to them.
Well, the takeaway from the article is this, guys. The next time you guys see a minority get shot, get murdered, what have you, by the police, make sure the guy keeps his clothes on. Because if the cop pulls his shirt off, then he's unclothed, and the video won't be available to us.
We can't expose that kind of
Right?
just
Well,
terrible perversion.
and if the scenario that the cop posed were to happen, we'd have to see boobs.
I was just about to say, if a guy dies, make sure there's no nip slip. Otherwise, we can't save him.
Well, okay, so the cops are changing. I think we can ascertain that, even though it would seem like they're getting worse in some sense because we keep seeing these stories popping up. But I'm convinced they're changing, and I'm convinced that they understand that they cannot keep getting away with this. I think that's a substantial change because I've been yelling about this shit for a long time, at least 15 years. And
You were never arrested?
no, I've never had any problem with the cops. Cops and I get along fine. But
I'm really happy my last name is Brooks.
it's a good one to have, right? It's better than something, Regardless, the point is, I don't have any problem with him, but I've always been yelling about, because my dad was such a fierce libertarian, and so he didn't like the cops, and he sort of put that into me early on that, you can't trust the cops. was an early lesson he told me, and the reason being because they didn't really have good reason to be pulling you over in the first place. It was like
I've always said the only reason I always said I don't like the cops because they have a fuck you quota, not a help you quota.
Right. Well, I mean, there's lots of reasons why institutionally the cops pose something ranging from a hassle to something terrible. The problem is that I always had was this particular issue, which is before it became a big hot button issue, you still read these stories about, Dwayne Washington was shot today in the park. Police indicated that it used to be the reporters wouldn't question the goddamn thing. Sometimes they wouldn't even say police said. It would just be like, police had to shoot a man in the park today named Dwayne Washington who advanced menacingly upon them. And I go,
They feared for their life.
Back in the day before it became a problem, they didn't even write that. They'd just be like, he advanced menacingly. And
Yeah, I suppose that's kind of...
What the fuck is this? Advanced menacingly. And I'd rant about it, and everyone go, "Oh, Eric."
I suppose that's one of the benefits of social media becoming such a thing now, is that it's no longer something. It's no longer doesn't happen in like a. There's evidence that can be published online. It is like the biggest thing. It is like we have this instant ability to just take out something that everyone has on them and instantly record a video, and if something is unjust, then it's exposed to the public, and they complain about it, And I think as that becomes more widespread, it has a sort of correction process that it initiates, And hopefully that can lead to some, like Eric suggested, behavioral changes in the coming years, and we can kind of see it even now.
Well, the cop, okay, think about the case of the two cops, one of whom shot the guy in the back on the ground. Now that guy turn out to have a gun, and so then everyone goes, well, okay, now it's a little iffy, I guess, because he had a gun. Maybe the cops didn't have any choice or something. I don't know. But that then begs the question, at what point is it okay for the cop to shoot a man that they've got on the ground? Why did they stop him in the first place? See, it's like, when it gets to that point, to pretend that somehow the cops can lose all responsibility for their actions simply because they see a gun doesn't address the core question of how it was that this guy came to be dead and was alive after.
What's the name of the person in that video? Because I haven't watched that video yet. I want to look it up and watch it real quick so I can comment on it.
I don't know.
I think it was like Castile.
Oh, Castile?
Castile?
Yeah. It was the one in Michigan, right? Who was shot in the car. What was his
Minnesota.
name? Oh, Minnesota? Okay.
Yeah, that was Castile.
That was Castile. What about the other guy?
I forgot.
The one... Castile was which was the one where the homeless man called and said he had a weapon or whatever that was like waving and around?
That was the one in Louisiana, I think.
What is that
Just Google
Castile
police
or?
shooting in Louisiana.
No, Castillo's in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
So
So Castile is the one
No,
where his
my only
girlfriend
problem-
live streamed.
My only problem with all these shootings is why is the media deciding to push? Like my problem is that the media is trying to push identity politics onto people basically because when, for example, cause like I'm black, but when if you look at statistics, whites get shot by police more than by double than blacks. Why does the media ever talk about that? Why is it whenever a black person gets shot by the cops is this whole entire huge big incident?
It's like anything,
Well, it's
isn't
whites
it?
get-
It's, yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause,
well-
on the news they're always saying a black man did this or this happened to a black man, but it happens to someone of a different ethnicity. They're just like a man. It's always pointing out the color they're not.
Yeah,
Well-
that's the only problem. That's the problem that I have.
I would point out, I will say this, that if anybody is shot by the cops now and they're unarmed and it appears like they weren't in the commission of a crime, the news does cover it substantially. There was a debater who was shot to death in Long Beach, and it didn't get quite as much coverage as these ones, but it still got quite a bit of coverage.
Does it get
and-
mainstream coverage though?
What's that?
Does it get mainstream coverage though?
Yeah, it did. Well, and it got national coverage. It just didn't. It wasn't as big an issue as this one. His name was Fared something, I think. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. I feel awful about that actually. But the point is, he was on mushrooms and like was really disoriented and like jumped off a balcony and was like kind of bloodied up and advanced menacingly towards the cop, and the cop shot him to death. And the people were screaming there saying things like, "Don't shoot him! Don't hurt him!"
Should have just kicked him in the face. I mean, if he was high anyway.
You just tase him.
Anyway.
Oh no,
what
I
is
saw
it-
that. You
Go
guys
ahead.
see that video about the kid that got tased?
He died.
Some
Yeah.
well, no, there was this video. I guess this kid got tased for several or like 20 seconds, 40 seconds, and then like there was loss of blood to his brain, and now he's like he's paralyzed or something, and loss of brain function, and we thank God we have the dash cam footage of it.
Well,
I heard
Just,
a similar
I just-
story.
Also, it's the way that police officers are trained nowadays too, and like the militarization of the police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and isn't it
they're
like
taught
a
to shoot
isn't
first
it a popular
instead
career
of-
path for people who have had military training to even enter the police force too after they've been on duty?
Yeah, a lot of them are actually like ex military officers.
Yeah, I just watched the video and it seems pretty ridiculous how like once they tackle him on the ground, like they're putting such pressure on him and they're like, don't move, and it's like he can't fucking do anything, and the only thing he's doing is like, I mean, I imagine if you're in that situation, you're probably moving a little bit just to find like a comfortable like way. You're going to be averse to that, right? Because someone's like holding you to the ground. I just don't see how anything he did could have justified just like pulling out a gun and just like, don't fucking move, and then he just like moves his arm or something trying to like get comfortable, and it's just like, you know,
Apparently, he was reaching for his gun
yeah.
or something.
Even if that was the case, he could have just knocked the guy out with the butt of the weapon. Didn't have to shoot him.
You don't
I mean, you
have
got
to-
an
Yeah.
advantage in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, but one thing I will note though, when the video it's like they tell him to get on the ground, and he's just kind of like almost like a Jesus pose, where he's just doing that, and it just kind of like,
Maybe he's hoping he'd be saved. Maybe if I do this symbolism, I'll get out of this.
I don't know, the way I saw that, I mean, the killing is obviously unjust, but it just seemed to me like if he had a gun, this seems like he's keeping his options open. That's what that appeared to me, where it's like they told him to get on the ground and everything. Like it wouldn't make sense if he was just like, look, I have a gun, I'm going to put it on the ground. Like I feel like that would have been like the best way to do it. But they obviously shouldn't have tried to like tackle him. Like I just don't understand why they didn't just approach and just like.
Why were they apprehending him in the first place?
Well, apparently someone called a homeless man. He called in and said that there was someone there waving a gun around. So I suppose they showed up looking for that scenario. Perhaps they went in thinking it was going to be a lot more, I guess, immediate than it obviously wasn't, you know. But I guess they went in.
I actually read that he was like robbing the local grocery store that was around there or something.
He robbed the grocery store.
He was like assaulting.
Okay, well, the thing is, whatever narratives the cops are telling us, whatever narratives are coming filtered into through the media at this point are irrelevant. They're all lies or constructed truths, or maybe they're truths, but we just don't know. We just don't know. No, Stephen Brooks, not Black Lives Matter. Fuck no. Listen, my whole point is that's why cops keep getting away with it, is because people keep thinking that it's something other than a negative rights violation issue. They keep thinking it's racism. The problem is not what's going on inside their heads. It's not their mental processes. It's not the fact the victims are black. Kelly Thomas wasn't black. Fucking Dennis Eckert wasn't black.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, people have that perception because that's the only thing the media covers. That was my whole point.
And I agree with you that it's strange how much more how the media seems to need it to be an issue of racism for it to matter, because we still haven't, as a culture, come to terms with the fact that if we want to be serious about this, we have to talk about the problem being not racism, but the problem being legal exceptions for cops that allow them to murder and get away with it on a regular basis. If we are saying cops may be excused from murder if they're in emotional state X, fear for my life, then we're saying your mood determines whether it's okay if you kill someone. That's the problem.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this story, and oh my God, I've talked more today about the WNBA than I have in my entire life. But you guys saw that story, the Minnesota Lynx, which is the sister team to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They hired 4 off-duty Minnesota police officers to work security for the game. The game's about to start. The girls are shooting their warm-up shots, and they're wearing shirts, warm-up shirts. And I think what the shirt said was like, accountability, responsibility, change starts with us on the front, and it had the Minnesota PD logo. On the back of the shirt had the two black guys that have been shot, Philando and the other guy, as well as the names of the 5 Dallas police officers who were shot, right? And so it's like, nothing about this shirt seems bad, right? It's, we want accountability and responsibility. It starts with us, and we're mourning and honoring, the 2 black guys as well as the Dallas police officers. But going back to sort of piggybacking the point that Eric brought up, because of the media sensationalized this as a race issue, the officers, it's kind of this like us versus them mentality, right? Like, the officers are going to bunker up and be like, no, we're going to protect the shield, protect the badge, protect each other, and it's this Black Lives Matter, or essentially to them, they're a terrorist group, and that's how they view it. And so they, as soon as they saw those shirts, they didn't even care to listen to the argument of accountability and responsibility. It's we got to get the F out of here, and those those WNBA players, they're against us. We can't do security for 2 hours for this game.
And like, even notice how the media is portraying the shooter in Dallas compared to Dylan Roof. They never say that this guy is a racist at all. They just say he's like some lunatic. But he shot those police officers because they were white.
We're still unclear of the motive.
Too. Yeah.
It's a good thing we didn't kill him with a robot. Now we can ask him questions.
Well, now I've talked about the WNBA for more than I have the rest of my life too. That's about how much it took to meet that criterion. And what I'll say about this whole disastrous mess is that it will take a little bit of time for us to get there, but as the ability to videotape stuff continues to allow us to see what laws are actually doing, right? See, this is the problem we've always had for a long time. If you're not somebody the cops picked on, You had no idea what it looked like. And for non-visual people like me, I would read that article that said the guys approached menacingly, and I'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" And I have a big fit about it. It didn't require me to look at video to see that it was something fucking totally shady was going on. But I understand that people have different ways of understanding things. That I'm the least visual type of all, so I'm going to be inclined to make meaning without image. And now that people see videos of it, when they see somebody who's just a regular person going about their business, and they see the cops coming and fucking with them for some reason, like the guy who got killed for the cigarette selling in New York, got choked to death.
Eric Garner.
Yeah, he brought up to the forefront the issue of, well, do we really need this law? Is that something we want? Armed men going and taking people to the ground over? Is the thing that he's doing worse than the violence being perpetrated against him, even if they hadn't killed him? Becomes an important question at this point. My basic feeling is that the more transparency there is, the more we see what laws actually do to people, the less acceptable this sort of behavior becomes. It's only acceptable when it's invisible.
And actually,
Yeah,
speaking
also-
of, go
Yeah,
ahead.
you can go. You can go.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say the whole visual thing that you brought up. One of my former buddies who was on the speech and debate team with me at Logan, he's actually an undercover cop in Southern California now, and so this guy does like undercover fake identity, find out who's working for the cartels, and does drug busts, right? And his girlfriend, who's a friend of mine as well, she was telling me about some of the training he would do. And they would do all sorts of role-playing situations, like, okay, this guy has the money and the drugs and a hostage, and let's actually act this out step-by-step chess move type deal. And his girlfriend was laughing about how she goes, yeah, Justin went through like 5 simulations, and the first 4 times he ended up becoming one of the hostages and losing his weapon in the role-playing scenarios. And so but they're doing this for drug busts, right? And so what I'm wondering now when I see all these shootings is how much training are these guys actually getting? Because with the Garner situation, we're told, the cop that killed Garner used the illegal chokehold. Well, how many times did they roleplay that situation? Are they just told, on the first day when they finally become a cop? Now remember, kids, don't use a chokehold. Bring a sweater out there. Like, is it just that, or is there actually, are they trained well? Because as you guys mentioned earlier as well, a lot of these guys are coming over from military ops, right? And yeah, I could totally understand a guy that's used to busting down the door and dealing with ISIS or Al Qaeda or whatever. Yeah,
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just I think that there's that too. Like people, the ones who are actually in combat. But I think another part of it is they go through this long training, and they may just have a need to exercise that, where it's they're trained to think or if those are in military training,
That's the fucking problem, this training thing. The problem is never training, because the issue is we keep trying to find a way to make it so that we can come up with some protocols that will not require our police officers to have any moral agency. But that's never going to happen. What we need to do is hire police officers who are desperate to not hurt people and would rather err on the side of taking a bullet than shooting an unarmed person, because they're really there to help.
Isn't that in a sense training though?
Yeah, but the way with the way that cops are getting trained nowadays, those people wouldn't pass the test basically.
Okay, right. But
it doesn't matter.
No, I agree with you, Hami, 100% about the over-militarization of the police. 100%. When I'm talking about training, I want to point out something. That every fucking time the cops do something horrific, they commit some atrocity, then they say, oh, well, we really do need to go revisit some of our training procedures. We're added some new training procedures here. We're going to make sure this doesn't happen again. When we try to say the problem is the training, then we are exclusively saying they win framework. They win framework. The problem's training, they win framework. Therefore, they win.
I'm not saying the whole problem. Like I think you mentioned this earlier. We definitely need to actually what's it called? Be able to actually like charge these guys with something. Like I was talking with my student today. The problem with these issues is like the Garner one, right? You know, like oh, we're gonna have a federal investigation, the FBI, the CIA, or whoever's gonna look it over, and it's a bunch of former cops that work at the FBI who are going to protect the shield, and all these institutions want to protect themselves, and like that definitely needs to change. I forget what the statistics are, but I've read all the studies that say, you know, the odds of the FBI doing an investigation actually like indicting or charging or whatever police for wrongdoing is like less than 1%. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There needs to be. We need to legitimize the police force as a moral agency, like how Eric said, where it's even just because you're hired as a police officer doesn't remove the moral obligation you have to not fucking kill someone. You know.
Everyone's still a human.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's another. Maybe it was the Louisiana one, something recently where I think it was an older one, and the reason we haven't heard about it so much is the cops' body cameras fell off right before they had to use deadly force to address their panicked terror for their life. Cops are they are incredibly cowardly. Do you know that a cop, there was a chihuahua. It was like a big chihuahua. It's not like a chihuahua. It was like a chihuahua with something else mixed, right? It was maybe about this big. And the
It was a
dog,
Chihuahua wolf mix.
he opened this person's gate, went into the person's yard to go knock on his door or something, or go
Kill this fucking dog.
investigate, okay? The dog came out and barked at the cop, and the cop shot him dead. And when
Yeah,
questioned as to
I
why he
hate
had
that
to do
shit.
that, he said he was afraid for his life.
Apparently, that's a pretty common thing, you know, where like the cops will fucking shoot your dog, like they don't give a fuck.
Well, it's not that, Zachary. They care deeply. It's just they are subject to abject terror at things little girls wouldn't even dream about being scared of. A little girl would walk there, and that dog would go woof woof, and the little girl would say, "Oh, you silly little dog, you're fine." And the dog would go, "Yes, I'm fine." That's what a little girl would do. A cop, though, seeing that incredibly dangerous thing, naturally is going to have a need to pull out a firearm and shoot it until it's dead, because the terror is so overwhelming.
Oh yeah, you have to eliminate the threat.
You do.
You're-
Don't stop shooting until it stops moving. That's rule number one.
Well, the Chihuahua might
That's
have
a good-
asked the cop if he wanted some Taco Bell, and Taco Bell is very dangerous for your health, so he might have been justified.
Well, okay, wait. Well, there's one thing here. Where, did he ask the Chihuahua to get on the ground? Because if he did that and the Chihuahua didn't comply, like
Chihuahua reached for its weapon.
It did.
they always
There was
do.
a stick. There was a stick next to it. The cop could have sworn it was a gun. The paw was right near the stick. You can't blame the cop. Did you guys see the one in Texas where the guy was standing outside the car? The cop's like, "Let me see your license and registration." So the guy reached back into his car to get his license and registration, at the cop's instruction to do so, and the cop said, I don't remember what he said. I think he said, like, "Get on the ground, or something like that. And he shot him. He's like,
See,
"Go,
okay,
go,
I
go."
thought that was the one everyone was referring to
That's
the
an
other
older
day.
one. And then the guy's like, but the guy lived. He's like, "Why you shoot me? Why did you shoot me?" You know, like, "Oh my God, I'm just going and following instructions." And the cop's like, "You made a sudden move. You made a sudden move."
What, getting on the ground?
Yeah,
You see, if I'm ever in a situation where cops are giving me anything other than what I got last time I got pulled over, which was they walk up and they say, "You're not getting a ticket today," but because they just can smell it, right? They don't want any piece of it. And so if I don't get that though, if they come up and say, start giving me a hassle or whatever, and especially if I have my camera going, it's going to go like this. Okay, officer, now listen very carefully. I'm going to lift my right hand very slowly from the steering wheel. I know you guys are easily terrified, and that the slightest fear causes you to fire your gun. So I'm going to move very slowly over here to get this. You know, it's like I want to. I want to walk them through the whole negative rights framework as I reach for my driver's license and insurance. Say, okay, officer. So I know that in the status quo, you've been trained to believe that you can violate someone's rights because blah, blah, and explain the whole fucking thing. If they really want to be a dick with me. Now, the thing is, I'm never going to give a cop any cause to cause me any harm. I would never try to resist in any way. And I agree with whoever was saying, Zachary, I guess, was saying, like, you should have a plan for cops. Before you ever encounter one, everyone should have a plan for cops. And you should know what you're going to do in, not no matter what, but depends on how they're behaving. You know, understand that cops are kind of like wild animals a little bit. You don't know how they're going to behave, and it depends which cop you get. And, you know, some of them are cool and some of them aren't so cool, and some of them are fucking out for blood. And some of them, it's like, well, if I can claim good justification for killing this person, if the story's there, if the good shoot decision is there, then I'm gonna shoot the person. Those kind of cops are the ones that we have to get out of that profession and preferably into prison. The ones who think if it's legal and I can do it, I should shoot somebody.
I want to respond to Unify's message where he said, "But Eric, what are the odds of you getting shot while doing nothing, me while doing nothing?" I think that perhaps there may be some. There are certainly cops that act more aggressive toward people of skin color, but I just think, yeah, anyone who has skin color, like they're only people of color skin, where they like goodbye. But I think that like the thing is like what can we do about it with policy? Like make it illegal to kill someone who's black? It's already illegal. You know, like how are we supposed to affect it through policy? You know,
we need more clear people. We need more transparent people.
Another thing is that people need to stop, like when they get pulled over by cops. Even though I'm not excusing the cops, they should. I don't understand why people try to resist arrest for it. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to lose your life. Just comply, and if they arrest you and they wrongfully arrest you, then just sue them for wrongful arrest.
No, that's good advice, homie, and we should follow that. I agree. When I get pulled over, and if the cops do anything shady, my goal is to get as much documentation on that and to get out of that situation as with as few broken parts as possible, so that then I can go to real war. Because, you know, once you get into the legal system, even though the legal system is totally corrupt, it has mechanisms that they have to respect. And if you can exploit those successfully, you can fuck people hard with it. And if anybody gives me a good enough reason to, I will go ahead and invest the time in the legal system to make sure that individual person pays. What we need is somebody with good standing to challenge limited liability laws and say, I don't want the millions of dollars from the city. I want that cop's paycheck for the rest of his life. And I want him to lose his job. And I want him to be held accountable. The problem is people like Dennis Eckert take the deal. They say, here's $1 million. Okay, fine, I'll take the millions of dollars. Fuck it. Why am I?
Yeah, I think that's one of the. I think there could be an argument made for some sort of like systematic oppression of like. I think like one of the only arguments is that there is like the cops are working with public attorneys, and usually they work out some sort of plea deal, you know, to sort of like put people, you know, in prison for, you know, drug charges, stuff like that. So these are people who are in at least local areas are completely common with each other, you know, and the criminals usually only have like, I don't know, some shitty public defender, you know, defending their case who really doesn't give a shit whether or not they get off. There needs to be some sort of like sector of defenders who, there needs to be some sort of like, I don't want to say like I mean, I don't know. You see what I'm saying there, right? Like
Nobody would care if people were only getting arrested for real crimes. If in fact oh, prosecutors are making too many plea deals with murderers. They wouldn't say, it's too bad because the murderers shouldn't be pressured into taking a plea deal like that. They should be having their day in court.
Or no,
It doesn't really
that's
matter
not what I'm
that
trying to
much
say.
if
I'm
you're
trying
talking
to say,
about
like,
murderers. You know?
I'm trying to say, like,
And also,
the police officers, they make up plea deals with, like, the public attorneys and stuff. Like, they're familiar with their local court system. You know, these people all know each other. The police officers are familiar with the people who work there, and they are the ones that can, in cases like where someone is killed unjustly, are because they work with them so commonly. Like, that's the kind of stuff that makes public attorneys and whatnot turn the other cheek. You know, I think that's one of the arguments for a sort of I guess, corrupt system in that regard, like with the judicial system and whatnot. See what I'm saying?
also
Yeah.
you have to think about the current system. Like promotes and benefits cops that make the most arrests. So cops are incentivized to arrest as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
They actually get raises for that.
Even if they're innocent.
Shouldn't be performance based at all. Like that.
Yeah, like the ones that have to write a number of tickets a month or whatever, meet some certain quota. It's like, what kind of
Yeah.
shit is that?
And it causes a lot of cops to stay overtime.
Speaking of that, actually, one of my hobbies that I started in college and I still do occasionally to this day is, for those of you who live in California, you have the right to a trial by written declaration if you ever get a speeding ticket or anything like that. So instead of showing up to court, you can actually testify it by mail. And the cool thing about that is if you go to court, the cops get paid OT to testify against you. If you write a written testimony, the cop is requested to write a counter letter, and they never actually do it. There's no incentive.
Yeah, I've actually heard of something similar to that. Yeah, like
Yep.
Good
if you
advice.
take it to court,
That's a
like
good
at
idea.
the time they won't even reciprocate it, and it'll get dropped.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
Do you mean
I
can't
win.
work with bullets?
Yeah, I
They
win
gave it
80% of my
to you?
cases just writing a damn letter.
Yeah, that's great advice. I didn't know that.
Yep. If a cop ever asks you, I actually, the student I worked with today, this is a great YouTube video. I'm sure most of you have seen it. It's that lawyer, law professor guy who just goes on for about half an hour about why you should never, under any circumstances, talk to the police. You can just YouTube, just don't ever talk to the police. And what's it called? Lost my train of thought. Oh, on that ends, cop pulls you over. You know, they already want you to incriminate yourself, right? You know, do you know how fast you were going, right? And I think Eric mentioned you should, or someone else mentioned earlier, you should have a plan with, you know, how to deal with cops in certain situations. And so my prepared answer now is, did you know how fast you were going? And I would look at the cop and I would say, yes, your officer. I believe I was going the speed of traffic pursuant to California Vehicle Code 22400, the minimum speed law, which says a driver must not drive at such a speed to impede the normal movement of traffic. Respectfully, sir. That's my official answer.
I have an official answer to the same question, but it's a different answer. Aren't you the one who's supposed to know that? Are you telling me you pulled me over without having any idea what I was doing?
That is a pretty funny response.
They'll be so pissed too.
Yeah, that's why I'm also afraid of.
Yeah, that's
why-
why, like,
that's why you have
even
to
though
know
it's fun to talk about an
contextually.
abstract, there's no fucking way I would do that in person. I would probably sit there with my hands on the steering wheel, just like, the speed I am expected to go at. Or some shit like that.
I would do it if the camera were rolling, and I wouldn't do it if it
Oh,
wasn't.
yeah.
Very, very quickly, Eric. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that.
Break
I'm
the
here.
system.
Okay.
Break the system.
Everybody, stop what you're doing. Make a note of this,
Everybody,
please. Abraham is here. He has arrived. I want everyone to please make a note of that because he likes to make sure we're all aware of his arrival. All right. Well, thanks for watching Talk with Famous People. That brings this episode on cops and fun times with the law enforcement community here. And thanks for watching at home.